What's up, everybody? Welcome into Flippin Bats now with Ben Verlander. I am joined, as always, by Alex Curry. This is going to be a blast. The World Baseball Classic is here, and this World Baseball Classic is the greatest global baseball tournament we have ever seen. There's been WBCs in the past, but not like this one, and we're going to bring it all to you every single day, every single event. We're going to cover it all for the next couple of weeks. This is going to be a blast. Let's get to it.
It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits on the 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball. Deep center field. It is gone. Home run. And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
Let's do this. The WBC is here. I have been waiting. We have been waiting for what seems like since the end of the World Series for this tournament. And night one is done. We are here bright and early the very next morning to bring it to you. Alex, we made it. This is awesome.
We did make it, and we got some action right out of the gates. I mean, we're gonna dive into the two games that have already happened, but it was exciting. You could just see it and feel it from the players, the fans. It's a big deal, and it's exciting to see the talent that's actually participating in the World Baseball Classic.
There's so much talent. There's so much going on. So kind of my goal throughout all of this tournament is to bring everybody listening and watching every bit of information they need. I don't know what my sleep schedule is going to look like for this tournament.
No sleep.
We'll learn it. We'll all learn it together. I'll let you know every episode when I slept and if I slept. In night one, I slept a good 3 or 4 hours.
We took naps.
Game one, we're going to cover every game, everything you need to know. Team USA doesn't start for a couple days. Their first game is Saturday. But there's still a lot going on. We have a lot to cover. Obviously, the game's on the field, but like everything we learn along the way. I learned so much about baseball and the global game during night one. So this is going to be a blast, and every bit of information you need. Wake up with us. We'll be talking about the WBC, everything that happened overnight, everything that's going to happen the next day, and it's going to be a blast.
It's amazing. So as you mentioned, we're going to be kind of your home base for all things World Baseball Classic. Obviously, the games you can watch on FS1, FS2, Tubi, streaming on the Fox Sports app. It's going to be amazing. But then we're going to have these daily shows. We're going to recap everything. We're going to preview the games coming up. But because this is day one, we kind of want to give everyone the 101 of the World Baseball Classic. We're going to give you the top 5 things you need to know just so you can sound smart talking to your friends about the World Baseball Classic. So let's start with number 1. It is a star-studded tournament, Ben.
Yeah, this WBC is the most star-studded we have ever seen. 186 MLB players, 67 All-Stars, 8 MVPs. Whatever team you're a fan of, your superstar, if your team has a superstar, is playing in this tournament. I mean, most do.
Yeah.
Not all.
Yeah.
Not all.
It's okay.
Most do. But it truly is unbelievable. Mike Trout, one of the greatest of all time, is playing. Team Dominican, I feel like, has everybody in the world playing for their team. Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Julio Rodriguez. That team is star-studded. Team Japan has names you will know that are superstars, and Shohei Ohtani, Yu Darvish, but also names you might not know, which is going to be a cool part of this tournament. Yeah. We're going to learn a lot of names that we don't know that we should have known and that we will continue to know. Like Murakami on Team Japan, Roki Sasaki. They have a lot of stars. There is a superstar everywhere you look in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. We got a taste of that in game one. We'll get to that in a little later, but Cuba had some great
Luis Robert.
Yeah,
saw him in game one.
Incredible. Like, how is he not in the big leagues? We'll talk about that later. Anyway, let's get to number 2. And those are the past champions.
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be the biggest global tournament we've ever seen. There have been a few WBCs before. This is the 5th one. The previous winners, the first 2 times it ever took place, Japan. Yeah. Japan was back-to-back champions, the first and the second tournament, followed by the Dominican Republic in the third, and most recently, the reigning champs, Team USA. So will they go back-to-back? Will we see both of these other teams, DR and Japan, are both very, very good. The Dominican being the favorite in this tournament. So Team USA is one of the best teams involved. The lineup is one of the greatest lineups we've ever seen, but it's no cakewalk through this tournament.
But I love that the three past champions are probably the three teams that most people have chosen to win this tournament. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. So let's get to number 3, the WBC format. Explain it for us.
So this is where this is very different from what we're used to. This is pool play in the first round, followed by single elimination throughout the rest of the tournament. Let's start with the first round. Pool play. 4 pools. Pool A, B, C, and D. Pool A is in Taichung. Pool B is in Tokyo. Pool C, Arizona. And Pool D, Miami. Pool C and D, USA is in Pool C, doesn't start until a few more days. Pool A and B are going right now. So it's pool play. There's 5 teams in every single pool. Pool A being Chinese Taipei, the Netherlands, Cuba, Italy, and Panama. Now, these teams all play each other. And then the top 2 teams from each pool will advance to round 2. Round 2 being a single elimination round. And from there, if you win, you advance to more single elimination. From the quarters to the semis to the finals, which will all be taking place in Miami, the semis and the finals. So that's Pool A. Pool B is where things get a little. Team Japan is in Pool B.
Exciting.
Team Japan is a juggernaut. Exciting. They should run through this pool. Team Japan, Korea, Australia, China, and the Czech Republic, which is one of my favorite teams in this tournament. Team Czech Republic is full of teachers and librarians and financial advisors and firefighters. And they're going to be playing teams like Team Japan and Shohei Ohtani and Yu Darvish. It's unbelievable to me. We should all be rooting for Team Czech Republic. They are not going to win this tournament. However, if they score a run, I will be excited for them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just so cool, their story, to be here, to have qualified, and to now be playing on this big stage. It's one of the coolest stories in this tournament.
It is. And if you want to fall in love with them, they put out a video where all the players were explaining their real jobs. And this is the fun thing they do. We've talked about it on past Flippin Bats shows, but we'll repost the video so you can see it. Just fall in love with this team, because that's the cool thing about these global tournaments is, yes, you have your home. Oh, here we go. Here we have it on the big screen.
It's incredible. The best part,
good.
They're about, and I believe their third game is against Team Japan. Oof. They're going to be on the field
Mercy rule
with Shohei Ohtani and Yu Darvish while getting a substitute teacher for their 4th grade English class back in the Czech Republic.
It's so good.
It's unbelievable. So, Mercy Rule, your question, we're going to do a full bracket prediction, game prediction,
so we'll get to that in
everything we need. That'll be coming a little later. Pool C in Arizona. Team USA is in Pool C. Team USA, Mexico, Colombia, Canada, and Great Britain. Mexico and Canada, two teams that are going to be pretty solid in this tournament. Obviously, Team USA is one of the juggernauts in the tournament as well. Pool C takes place in Arizona at the Diamondbacks Stadium. Pool D will take place in Miami at the Marlins home stadium. Pool D is the group of death. Ooh. It is unbelievably stacked with Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Israel, and Nicaragua. So this is no discredit to Israel and Nicaragua. Israel might do some damage in this tournament. However, I don't believe they get out of this pool because one of these 3 teams between Puerto Rico, the Dominican, and Venezuela will not be advancing out of this pool of death the way it has been set up. So Pool D is going to be crazy. Now, 2 teams from every single pool, as I mentioned, advanced. The winner of the pool will play the runner-up of another pool, and that will continue until the semis and the finals.
All right, well, let's move on to some unique rules that we have in this tournament. Now, let me just say, the new rules in Major League Baseball are not happening in this tournament. We'll start out with that. So let's get to the unique rules in this tournament.
Well, we saw a couple of them right away.
Oh, yeah.
Night one. Cuba and the Netherlands, immediately in the first inning, we're talking about the pitch count. There is a pitch count that is involved here. A quick synopsis of that. If a pitcher throws 50 or more pitches, then he can't pitch for at least 4 days. If he throws 30 or more pitches, he can't pitch for at least 1 day. And if a pitcher throws on back-to-back days, they can't pitch for at least 1 day. So that will come into play big time for these teams that don't have the pitching depth that some of these other teams do. But you can't throw more than 65 pitches in the first round, period.
But this is built to protect the pitchers. So as you mentioned, it's 65 max in pool play. It's 80 pitch max in quarters. And in the championship round, it's a 95 pitch max. Because remember, a lot of these guys are still in their spring training warm-up. You don't want to hurt anybody come season. And it's smart. If you want to get Major League Baseball players to continue to play in the World Baseball Classic, this is exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the tricky part about baseball is it's year-long, basically.
Yeah.
There's only a few-month period. So to even be able to do this, spring training is the best time to have teams and organizations on board. You have to have rules like this. Another rule. The mercy rule. The mercy rule in the first round game is called if a team is up by 10 runs at the end of the 7th inning or 15 runs at the end of 5 innings. So 15 after 5 or 10 after 7. We also almost saw this.
We did.
Night one with Chinese Taipei and Panama. Panama got up by 10, and then Chinese Taipei ended up fighting back. Not much of a fight, but within the mercy rule, which, by the way, I don't know if this changed it. Maybe it's not correct anymore. We used to call this a slaughter rule when I was a kid playing. We slaughtered them. You know what? In hindsight, I get it.
That's a little evil.
Hearing
and
it out
mean.
loud, I get it.
Yeah.
We slaughtered those guys.
I like the rebrand. I am here for the rebrand of the mercy rule. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you know what? Saying it out loud, I get it. Okay. Mercy rule. And another one being run differential, which we will see come into play here. Obviously, in pool play, you got to do something. In the World Cup, what we see is goals scored, goal differential, all of that. This is baseball's version of it. Run differential. So, you know what? You might see a team up 10 runs, and you're not going to be in a position to get mad at them if they're stealing and tacking on runs.
And we saw it.
It's going to be necessary. We did
saw it in
see
the Panama game. They were up by 10, and there was still a stolen base, and you heard the crowd
was
boo.
booing.
But at this point, it's different in the regular season. If you're in like a 162 game season, and you're like, okay, come on, just like calm down a bit. But this matters. Every run matters in pool play. Yep,
absolutely. So those are the new rules, right? We covered them all.
Those three, which are big. Okay, so moving on to number 5.
Number 5 is great.
We're your home.
Yeah.
We are going to be your home for the WBC.
Every single day. It's going to look a little different throughout, but the majority of days will be 8 a.m., except for when Team USA plays. When Team USA is playing, there will be a live pregame show and a live postgame show, which will come out on all podcast platforms as well. So one way or another, every single day. You know what? If you want to sleep, I don't blame you. I'm not going to be doing a lot of sleeping, and I'm going to be here every single morning, every single day, letting you know every single thing that happened, because there's a lot of superstars in this tournament, and it's going to be very hard to keep up with, and this will be your spot to do it.
Yeah, and speaking of that, let's do it. Let's start with a recap of the first 2 games that we saw, starting with Cuba versus Netherlands. Netherlands won this one 4-2.
So this was really cool because I've been waiting for the WBC for a while. First pitch was not until 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, 11 o'clock Eastern. And I was just sitting there on pins and needles waiting for it. And this game ended up being awesome. Like, for this to be the start of the tournament, to get a great game like Cuba and Netherlands, we got great pitching off the start. Yariel Rodriguez is a stud. The guy was throwing 97.
He froze Xander Bogaerts. Just froze him.
He's disgusting.
It was insane.
Get this guy an MLB job.
How is he not?
Well, he's in the NPB. He plays in Japan, and he was the best reliever in all of Japan last year for the Chinichi Dragons. He was disgusting. Also, by the way, you mentioned his slider.
Yeah.
His slider is getting into the analytics a little bit here. He has a 3,000 RPM slider. The major league average is 2,500. So he has an elite slider. He's disgusting. So this game was pretty low scoring early. The Netherlands team is stacked. You look around this team. I was just looking at the starting lineup. Cuba has Luis Robert Jr. playing and Yoan Moncada. Those are their two. Yoenis Cespedes, but he's not. I don't know what we want to say about him. He doesn't still play in the major leagues.
It's a different player than what he used to be. The kind way to say it is just it's a different Cespedes.
It is.
Yes.
But he is playing in this tournament.
Yeah.
And Team Netherlands, this lineup, unbelievable. Their infield, Angelton Simmons, Xander Bogaerts, Jonathan Scope, Didi Gregorius.
Yeah.
This team has major league stars on it. Obviously, Xander Bogaerts leading the way there, but they all showed out. Didi Gregorius drives in the first run of the game, tied it up 1-1. Cuba did get out to an early start. Cuba was the favorite in this game, but I'm higher on, we'll get into it. I'm higher on the Netherlands than I am Cuba.
Me too. It might be, again, we'll get into it in a bit, but they might be the dangerous team in this pool to watch out for.
I agree. So this game ended up being great. Josh Palacios made it 6-1 or 2-1 in the sixth inning. Then they followed that up with a big hit. Chadwick Trump, who's a big leaguer as well, bloop single 4-1. That was kind of the ball game. But I was just sitting there watching this game. The energy, obviously, this was an early game in Taiwan, and the crowd wasn't huge, right? And the energy still was awesome. The horn guy.
I was like, you know who was huge? The guy right behind
guy
home plate.
Took over Twitter.
Didn't stop.
What are your thoughts on Horn Guy?
At first, it was shocking. He kind of put my whole house on notice. The dogs were like, what's going on? I was like, what's going on? He was louder than the announcers a good chunk of the time. I get it for a strikeout, a big hit, but the in-between, man, he was having a time. I'm here for it. I'm here for a good time, but I feel like he needs to bring more for Friends, so it's not just like one horn. It's like the Horn Group.
The Horn Group.
The Horn Group. Okay, on that note,
I want to talk about this because well, the game, as you said, the Netherlands ended up winning 4-2.
Yeah.
Tom de Blok started for the Netherlands, which he was in the Tigers organization when I was. He was 2 levels below me when we were in the Tigers organization together. We know of each other, and to see him, that's what became so cool to me. Seeing guys, a lot of these guys in this pool are like minor leaguers, and I've played with or against a lot of them, and to see him on the mound, like getting out of a jam, and then Xander Bogaerts coming up to him, like pumping him up, Xander's pumped up, patting him on the back, like that's what this tournament is all about. Having these guys that this is what dreams are made of, to be able to play on this field with superstars, but they never made it to the big leagues, or they haven't made it yet, but they're, next thing you know, they find themselves in a jam, first and second, nobody out, having to get out Luis Robert. It's like, oh my God. But this Horn Guy in the game ended up taking over the game, taking Twitter by storm. You know what I want to say about it?
what?
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
The game around the globe looks different than it does here. And there weren't a ton of people in the crowd for this Cuba and Netherlands game. And that's what made this so prominent. Also, the guy being directly behind home plate.
Yep.
But I did a deep dive into this guy because I'm all for it.
Did you find out who he was?
Oh, I know who he is.
Give us the deets.
His name's Pablo Avila.
Okay.
He's a trucker that lives in Houston. And he was born and raised in Cuba. He's been to every single WBC over the last 17 years. He goes to every international tournament that Cuba is involved in.
No way.
Under 18 tournaments, World Cups, everything. He's at every single one. The players all know him. I love him.
So he's the number one. Is
He's
that Horn
dancing
Guy?
on the That's Pablo.
That's Pablo.
He's dancing
We
on the
love
dugout.
Pablo. Okay.
So what I want
We love Pablo.
to mention
Yeah.
is that the game looks different everywhere you go. In Cuba, horns. In Japan, dancers on the dugouts, instruments in the outfield. Clearly, we saw that with the second game and the packed crowd. So, look, you want to really get into it. Obviously, the product on the field is the best in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
But in terms of what's going on in the stands,
Atmosphere.
what we do here in America is probably the most boring of anywhere you go. It's electric for so many reasons and just because you don't understand it, and just because you might need to turn your TV down
Volume,
a notch.
a little.
We need to better understand that baseball in different cultures is very different. It can be a party in other places.
Yeah.
And Pablo's just doing his part.
I love Pablo. Okay, I'm all for Pablo. I wasn't against him, but now I want more.
So this was the big matchup in Pool A, the Netherlands and Cuba. Netherlands ends up winning 4-2, and they're off to a great start.
All right, let's move on to the second game that was in the wee hours of the morning here on the West Coast. Panama versus Chinese Taipei, and Panama ended up crushing 12-5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Panama dominated. It was fairly close to start. And then, look, just to be quite honest with you, the game got blown out pretty quickly after that. Panama had never won a WBC game until this year.
And what a way to win your first WBC game. You almost had the mercy rule in the 7th inning.
Yeah.
You just came out and absolutely dominated.
Some say slaughter rule, but we're saying mercy.
We're saying mercy rule.
Some still
We're
do
rebranding.
that. Some do.
Some being Ben.
Not me.
Name
no
of
more.
Ben.
Nope.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some would say it, though. But the mercy rule came into play very closely, but it didn't end up happening. Look, Panama, just a quick synopsis here. Not a ton. There are a few big leaguers on this team. Christian Bethancourt is on the team, played for the A's and the Rays last year. It's a fairly common name around Major League Baseball, but their defense blew me away. It was unbelievable. There's a play out in right field by Luis Castillo that was one of the better catches you'll see. Crashed into the center fielder. Great play. Third baseman made a great play running over to the wall. So Panama's defense, unbelievable. They have some good pitching. They have some good offense. This might be their first WBC win, but they've been on the map for a little while now. In 2019, they did some damage in a tournament. So don't sleep on Team Panama.
No.
They looked really good.
That was another thing I was noticing just in these first two games. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chinese-
couple of my predictions that I made last night before seeing this game might come back to bite me in the booty.
Oh, I'm excited. Did you have Chinese Taipei?
No. But we'll get to that in a bit.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Chinese Taipei, by the way, before we move on, their pitching was supposed to be a strength. They have 8 guys that play internationally around the globe pitching, couple big leaguers, couple minor league guys, couple MPB guys. They struggled to get out. It was not very pretty for Chinese Taipei, and they ended up getting crushed 12-5.
Yeah. And almost got booted in the 7th inning.
They almost got booted.
Yeah.
Okay. Biggest takeaways from night/morning, right?
Day one.
Of day one. Biggest day one takeaways. You start.
Okay. I'd say the biggest and number one thing was the environment. And we kind of touched on it a bit here, from the horn guy to game 2, where it felt like a college football game here in the United States. There was like bands, there was cheerleaders, there was chanting. It was electric. People were on their feet the entire game. They had, what did you call them? The thunder sticks?
Yeah, thunder sticks.
The thunder sticks. It was just, you could feel the energy through the TV, but you could also see the players during warm-ups, how excited they were, taking photos with everybody. As you mentioned, Xander Bogaerts going over and just high-fiving his pitcher. There is just such a different feel for an international tournament like this, and it was really fun to see everyone, from the players, the fans, the teams, just have this different energy and this different vibe through just day one of this World Baseball Classic.
All right, that's good. What's your next takeaway?
We're learning a lot about each country. We're learning new things. I think the biggest thing for me is Cuba, because all the Cuban players I grew up watching or was covering for the past 10 years, the stories you hear is that they would have to defect from Cuba, have these crazy escape stories to then play in Major League Baseball. And last night we learned that Cuba actually allows their players, they have an agreement with Japan where they're allowed to play in the MPB. And then also, this is the first time that they're having Major League Baseball players play on Team Cuba.
So not a ton of them playing, but for the first time ever, it is happening.
Yeah. So those were my big 2 takeaways: the environment and just learning about each team is really cool.
I like it.
Yeah. What are your 2 takeaways?
Number one for me is that baseball looks different around the world, wherever you may be. So if you take in a Boston Red Sox game or a Houston Astros or a Dodgers game here in America, it is nothing like what you might see on the other side of the world. And it can be a party. It's just different. And it made me think, watching last night, it made me look back on my trip to Japan and experiencing baseball games in Japan for the first time ever. And I was just watching like, this is incredible. There's just random fireworks shows in the middle of games. There's bands playing in the outfield. There's chants. There's beer girls running around everywhere. There's cheerleaders on top of the dugouts.
Yeah.
We saw that last night in that game with Chinese Taipei. The horn guy, that's not a normal thing we see here in America. So it's just, the game looks different.
Yeah.
And that's really cool,
It's fun.
I think that's the beauty of baseball, is that it's becoming more and more global. We know baseball is America's pastime, right?
Yeah.
But you look around the world now and look at all the stars coming out of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what some of these other teams are doing. Look at the Dominican and Venezuela and Puerto Rico and Cuba and what they're able to do now. So the game looks different around the world, and seeing that crowd for the early morning game, the Chinese Taipei game, was awesome. Sold out. Place was buzzing. It was awesome. So my first takeaway is just how different baseball looks wherever you go.
And it makes this tournament unique and special. What's your second takeaway?
Next up for me is the Netherlands has a real chance to do some real damage in this tournament. If they can pitch, which they have professional pitchers on this team, some minor leaguers, guys that know how to pitch. But they can go far in this tournament. If they can get, if their offense is so good. They had some balls. The ball doesn't carry at that stadium in Taichung early in the day. That was very apparent. We saw some balls
crazy.
that should have gone 800 feet.
Yeah.
And they ended up going 330 feet and being caught on the warning track. So they ended up putting up 4 runs, but it could have been more like 8. This team rakes. They could do some real damage. You look around their defense. Andrelton Simmons is one of the better defensive players. Maybe not so much anymore, but he's a multi-Gold Glove winner in the big leagues.
He's incredible.
He's playing third base.
Yeah.
Xander Bogaerts at shortstop. Jonathan Scope. Didi Gregorius, who's a good middle infielder anywhere, is playing first base. Defense, offense, top notch. Team Netherlands, watch out. They could do some damage.
Yes, they can.
That's my takeaway there.
It's exciting. It was a good first day.
It was a great first day. Good pitching. Yariel Rodriguez needs a major league job, by the way. That guy's a stud.
This was the perfect stage for him to kind of put everyone on notice.
Yep.
Look what I could do. Okay, well, now let's look ahead, because we got a lot of games coming up today, tonight, and in the early morning tomorrow. So let's start with our first game, Australia versus Korea.
Australia and Korea, 2 teams that we will be seeing for the first time face off. Some very familiar names on Team Korea. Tommy Edman, Ha-Sung Kim, that's their middle infield. Okay, so watch out for those guys. Tommy Edman's story here is awesome. Obviously, he's American born. But family there, and his name, I don't exactly know the name, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but his name in Korean, he has the initial for it on the back of his jersey.
Oh, cool.
So it's like it starts with an H. So his jersey will have T.H. Edman as an honor to his heritage and all of that. And so he will be playing middle infield. Ha-Sung Kim, that up the middle defense for them will be elite. Gold Glovers, nastiness. So look for Team Korea to be pretty good. They also have a guy on their team named Jung-Hoo Lee. So throughout all these previews, kind of just going to give you who's on the team and maybe a guy to watch out for. Jung-Hoo Lee, KBO MVP last year, and he's going to be posted to Major League Baseball. So this guy's a stud. That's Team Korea. Team Australia, Warwick Sappold, big leaguer with the Tigers, friend of mine, teammate of mine in the Tigers organization. He'll be a pitcher for Team Australia. Got a guy in the Angels organization named Aaron Whitefield, 30 stolen bases 4 times in the minor leagues. So Should be a good matchup. I'm excited. Alex, let's we also want to do predictions for each single game.
Okay.
We're both going to do it. So
Okay.
I want to get your prediction for today/tonight/tomorrow's game between Australia and Korea.
Okay. I am taking Korea 4-2.
Okay. I'm going to take Korea 3-0.
Oh,
I think
okay.
good defense, good pitching for Team Korea. I think they have enough to score a few runs. And I don't think this isn't one of the stronger Team Australia teams that we've seen. So we're in agreement there.
Yep.
Korea wins.
All right. Well, let's move on to match number 2, which will be Panama against the Netherlands. Quick turnaround here for Panama.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Even quicker.
No, quicker, because one was the kind of the afternoon game.
Yeah.
And then one was the evening game there. I think they said 13 hours in between games.
Time gets tricky.
For Panama?
Time is it's a circle, and it's tricky when it's
wow.
on the other
Great.
side of the big circle.
Smart.
Okay. Panama versus the Netherlands. A little bit more about Panama. We know a lot about the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Panama, I think this is important to say because they obviously have never had a WBC win. But in 2019, in the Caribbean Series, Panama shut down Puerto Rico, the Dominican, and Cuba to take home the country's first Caribbean Series title since 1950. So this team is showing some big improvement. They're able to beat the big juggernauts. Now, obviously, those teams didn't have their superstars on it, and they do now. But don't sleep on Team Panama. I mentioned Christian Bethancourt is on this team. So I'm excited to see how they stack up against perhaps the best, but one of the best teams in this pool in the Netherlands, who we know is full of big league superstars. So how will Team Panama do against Team Netherlands that has all the names we do know? Simmons, Bogarts, Scope, Didi. That game comes up at you a little bit later. So, Alex, let me get your prediction for who wins Panama versus the Netherlands.
So this is the one where we made our bold predictions before we watched the games last night. I kind of want to change my score, but
No.
I know. We're not. I have the Netherlands winning 5-1, but I think Panama are going to put up a couple more runs than that.
I have them scoring a couple more. My prediction is Netherlands scoring. Chinese Taipei put up 5 against Panama. Netherlands is going to score, maybe even more runs than I have the final being 7-3. Netherlands winning. Panama scoring a few, maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
That's my prediction there.
Okay. Not bad. We're on the same page. We're very, very similar.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's move to the very early games, starting with China versus Japan.
I also want to note throughout I should start noting the start times, I think.
Okay.
Right? China and Japan starts, maybe I should also write them down next time.
5 a.m. Eastern.
2 a.m. Pacific, 5
Yeah.
a.m. Eastern time, Japan and China kicks off. Both of these teams' the first games of Pool B. A little bit about China. Ray Chang returns. It's a name if you've watched some WBCs of the past. He returns for his 4th WBC. He's been pretty good in these tournaments. 324 in the past. Angels prospect Alan Carter throws mid-90s is on this team. KBO relievers on this team. So China's not going to be great, but they do have some names we'll know. Ray Chang can hit. And they go up against Team Japan. Team Japan is the real deal.
Yeah.
This team has every bit of a chance to win this whole tournament. They are nasty, and the Game 1 starter has been announced as Shohei Ohtani. On the bump for Game 1, Shohei against China. Team Japan is stacked. Their pitching is probably the best pitching staff in this whole tournament. Shohei Ohtani, Game 1. They have Yu Darvish, Roki Sasaki, Yamamoto. So this team is nasty. Offensively, they're very, very good as well. Shohei again, Yuntaka Murakami, Lars Nootbaar is on the team. Everywhere you look, there's some big names for this team. So Team Japan is very good. And I have this. Well, and let me get your prediction first.
All right.
I almost went to my prediction.
That's okay. You can go first.
No.
All right.
I'm a creature of habit.
All right.
You go first.
All right. Well, I'm taking Japan.
Okay.
9-2.
Okay. All right.
What you got?
I have this being the first mercy rule of the tournament. I have Japan 11-1.
Okay. What inning? Oh, 7th.
7th or later.
7th or later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Japan 11-1. And that one kicks off 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific.
A.M. Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how time works.
It's okay.
I told you.
It's like
Time
a
gets to
circle.
me.
Yeah.
Time gets to
And
me.
no sleep. No sleep.
Okay.
Till quarters. That's what's happening.
That's true.
No? Okay.
I will not be sleeping.
I know.
That's true.
All right. Well, let's move it on.
Okay.
Italy versus Cuba. This is at 6 a.m. Eastern.
Okay. 6 a.m. Eastern,
Yes.
3 a.m. So these games
Pacific.
will be going on at the same time.
Back to
virtually.
back. Yeah.
Okay. This game I am very excited about, and this is probably going to be one of the better games of the day. Italy versus Cuba. Italy has some stars on it, some major league guys.
A lot of stars, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicky Lopez on this team, friend of the pod, really good friend of mine as well. We play Call of Duty virtually every night together.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Nicky Lopez.
That's cute.
Love the guy. Great. Also, Vinny Pasquantino, nicknamed the Italian Nightmare, is on Team Italy, fittingly. He's also an ODU guy where I went to college. So we know each other as well. Team Italy, gonna be really good, led by Hall of Fame manager. Well, Hall of Fame catcher is their manager. Mike Piazza is the manager of this team.
Love Mike Piazza. He was one of my favorite Dodgers growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Piazza's great. Angels infielder David Fletcher
I love Fletch.
is on this team.
I love Fletch.
Matt Harvey's a pitching coach on this team. So Team Italy
I know.
is really good.
I know.
And their first test is against Team Cuba, who we just saw. Luis Robert on this team, Yoel Moncada. What is your prediction in this game? Because I'm excited for this one, and we all should be.
I know. I'm regretting this one. I have Cuba 4-1 here.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the more I thought about it, Italy could take this game. They could steal this game.
So you're right.
Yeah.
You're right, they could.
Yeah.
Now, for my overall predictions, which we'll get to in a little while, I had to stick to my guns here.
Yeah.
I have Cuba winning 5-4.
Okay.
Couple things about this game. Cuba just played.
Yes.
Their stud game one pitcher will not be able to pitch in this game. The studs they brought out of the bullpen to try and beat the Netherlands in game one, who is probably their toughest opponent. Now they have to play their second toughest. This schedule does not set up well for Cuba whatsoever. I have Cuba winning the game 5-4. I do think they can hit. I think they end up pulling it out. That's my prediction here. I have to stick to it. I think this game is going to be great. It's also it's a very, very important game as well. So Cuba starts at 6 a.m. Eastern time. I have them beating Italy 5-4.
Okay, so what are 3 things we should watch out for?
3 things to watch out for of this upcoming slate of games. Number 1 being Shohei Ohtani kicking off game 1 for Team Japan, kicking off a potential title run for Team Japan. Who knows? Time will tell. But this will be must watch.
That stadium's going to be
It's
insane.
Going to be
sold out,
nuts.
electric, going wild. I mean, you were there.
I was there
a couple months ago.
I was there a few months ago, and what I heard, well, what I know to be true, is at the time, due to the COVID regulations still, no instruments in the stadium. In fact, there was no yelling. You could only clap and woohoo. That's all changed from what I've heard. Instruments back, yelling, cheering, thunder sticks. It's going to be insane in there.
And there's superheroes there. Their superhero is starting off the tournament on the mound. Everyone is obsessed with Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
As you should be.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, we
same.
know.
You might have heard.
We know.
So that's number 1 for me. This is going to be, when you look at what the game of baseball has meant across the globe, this game started by Shohei Ohtani, Team Japan in the Tokyo Dome, playing their first game. Shohei back in Team Japan uniform. The crowd sold out. This is what it's all about. This is going to be special. And I will never tell you have to stay up in the wee hours of the night. But if you want to pick a game to stay up and watch, it's this one. I'll be up with you. Let's all watch and appreciate it together. That's number 1 for me.
Or when you wake up, just tune into our show and
True.
we'll tell you what happened, or follow along your live tweeting.
True.
Yeah.
True that.
Number 2.
Number 2. Ooh, this is bold. I think the winner of this Italy versus Cuba game, I know it's early and I know it's Italy's first game. I think the winner of this game advances.
Ooh.
Just think about it.
Yeah.
Right? You have the Netherlands, you have Cuba, and you have Italy.
Mm-hmm.
The Netherlands already beat Cuba. That was a big one. I don't want to say they're now a lock to advance, but they're pretty much a lock to advance.
Yeah.
That leaves Cuba and Italy. Cuba's backs are up against the wall now with their pitching. They face Team Italy now. If Italy can win this game, I have to believe that they advance as the 1 or 2 seed out of this pool.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I am absolutely saying there's a chance.
I know.
So we'll see. If I could, obviously we're not changing predictions, but this is
what I said.
On an even one-on-one playing field, a neutral matchup, and all things are equal, and Cuba and Italy are playing their first game, I'd feel much more confident about Cuba. But Italy is very good, and their pitching is backs against the wall. So number 2 for me, look for the winner of Italy versus Cuba to advance out of the pool.
And just to clarify, we both took Cuba.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What's number 3?
Number 3, we get to see this team play their first game, Team Korea. Can they be a dark horse in this tournament? They have pitching. They have good major leaguers. They have elite defense up the middle. Can Korea be a sleeper in the WBC? Sarah Langs, who's great with all of her research, one of her favorite WBC tidbits from Team Korea, Tommy Edmond, this is it. This is what I was trying to remember earlier. Tommy Edmonds' Korean name is Hyun-soo, and he asked to add the H on the back of his jersey to represent Korea. That added initial gesture is just so wonderful and meaningful. Baseball is the best. So when you're seeing Tommy Edman on the field for Team Korea and you see an H on the back of his jersey, it's his Korean name, Hyun-soo. So takeaway 3, can Korea be a dark horse? I think we get our answer to that after watching them in Game 1. Is it prediction time?
It's prediction time.
It's prediction
and
time.
I was just told, and I was like looking at my bracket. I'm like, we can't change anything. We did this before we saw a single game because that's what happens.
By the way,
yeah.
Right before we get to our predictions, it's episode 1, and we have one more bat giveaway, which we're gonna do in a little while. The last Flippin Bats custom giveaway is coming up here very shortly. So predictions coming up, bat giveaway coming up. Alex, let's start with you. Let's get to our predictions. We're going to go pool by pool, naming our 2 winners of each, then through the single elimination all the way up to the final. So, Alex, let's start with you, and let's start in Pool A.
Okay, in Pool A, I believe Netherlands are going to be the winner, and Cuba is going to be the runner-up. But as we just mentioned, it could be fairly close between Cuba and Italy. So this is going to be a fun, interesting pool to keep your eye on.
Okay, I agree. Let's get to Pool B.
Pool B. I have Japan winning easily and Korea, who you just said might be your sleeper, as the runner-up in Pool B.
Okay, I like it. Pool C.
USA.
Yep.
As the winner, and then Mexico as the runner-up. Even though they lost a couple guys dropping out of the WBC last minute, I still think they're strong enough to finish in that runner-up spot.
Yeah, they'll still be pretty solid.
They're going to be solid.
Pool D, the pool of death.
The pool of, which is fitting that they're Pool D. Pool of death.
I get it. D, I get
death,
it.
yeah.
Who you got here?
I have Dominican Republic as the winner, and I have Puerto Rico as they were my sleeper. So I had to stick with my prediction that I made a month ago. I'm sticking with them as my sleeper, but again, this is such a tough pool, and it's sad that we're going to see one of these 3 teams between Puerto Rico, DR, Venezuela, someone go home early.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the quarterfinals now. So this is round 2 for you.
Yes.
You have the Netherlands versus Korea.
And I am taking the Netherlands easily over Korea.
Ooh, easily.
Yeah,
okay.
Like we've talked about, I think they're going to be a team to watch through this tournament.
Okay.
But I think they're easily going to make it here to the quarterfinals.
Okay. Next up, next quarterfinal, Cuba and Japan.
Japan, hands down, easy. I think they're going to make their way. as far as they can until I tell you that they're not going to make it anymore.
All
Oh,
right.
did I just give that away? Okay.
DR and Mexico.
I'm taking the Dominican Republic over Mexico.
Okay. And then your last one is the DR and
USA and Puerto Rico. And I am taking USA over Puerto Rico.
Okay. So your final four, you have Netherlands, Japan,
Yes.
Dominican, and Team USA.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So let's do your semifinals then. You have semifinal 1, Netherlands and the Dominican Republic. Who do you got?
Dominican Republic over the Netherlands is what I'm taking.
All right. Here's a big one.
I know!
Team Japan against Team USA.
This should be the championship game, but it's a semifinal game. And I'm taking USA over Japan. But this is going to be an insanely exciting game if this is how it all pans out and matches up.
You say it should be a championship game, but I look at your championship game you have right now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get much better
I
either.
know.
Can't get worse than that. Team USA against Team Dominican Republic.
Yep.
Who are you taking?
USA, baby.
All right.
All the way. USA.
All right.
Let's go.
That's your bracket. Alex has
Yep.
Team USA beating the Dominican in the finals. Let's get to my bracket, all right? Because
Yeah.
not a ton of differences, but
Okay.
a little
I'm curious.
difference in there.
I'm curious here.
First up for me, out of Pool A, I have the Netherlands and Cuba advancing as well, which is a big reason why I picked Cuba to win
Same.
against Italy tonight. Because if they don't, my prediction might prove false. Pool B, Japan and Korea. Japan being a juggernaut in this group and will win it fairly easily. I don't think they lose in this group. I think those two advance. Pool C, I as well have the USA and Mexico. Now, Mexico worries me a little bit more than they did because Team Canada can be a sleeper in this. Freddie Freeman on the team, Tyler O'Neill, some big names there that are very good. But I think Mexico can squeak it out, and I think Team USA can go undefeated in this pool. Pool D is where we differ. The pool of death.
Yeah.
The Dominican Republic, and I have Venezuela
Ooh.
advancing
Okay.
over Puerto Rico.
Fair.
It's
a
so
toss-up
it's
between
so
both.
close. It's such a toss up. The lineup obviously for both is great. I think Venezuela's pitching can get it done. This pool is going to be a blast though. So I have Venezuela advancing and Puerto Rico being one of those three juggernauts that end up going home early.
All right.
Quarterfinal
Quarterfinals.
number 1 for me. I have the Netherlands and Korea as well. I have the Netherlands advancing. Next up, Japan versus Cuba in quarterfinal 2. Japan advancing there. Quarterfinal 3, the Dominican versus Mexico. I have the Dominican advancing.
Mm-hmm.
And then quarterfinal 4, the USA versus Venezuela. I have Team USA advancing there, which leaves us with the same final 4. Let's go from there. The Dominican versus the Netherlands in semifinal 1. I have the Dominican advancing.
Yep.
And then USA versus Japan. Give me USA.
Oh, thank you. I was nervous there for a second.
Unbelievable.
See?
It might be Team USA might have the greatest lineup of all time.
Definitely.
Just look at
hands down.
if you just could picture and put together the greatest leadoff hitter, like you want a guy with power, can hit for average, can steal a million bases, Trey Turner. Then you have Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Then you have Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt, MVP
Right.
winner. Nolan Arenado, Kyle Tucker, Pete Alonso, Tim Anderson. It's unbelievable how good Team USA's lineup is. I have them advancing over Team Japan in a great matchup there, which leaves Team USA versus Team Dominican Republic. And I will say, a couple of weeks ago when I was doing my power rankings of teams, I put the Dominican Republic at number 1.
Yeah.
Because I do believe the Dominican has the best roster in this tournament. Offense can compete with Team USA. Pitching all around, very good. And that's why they are the favorite in this tournament in the betting world. Now, Team USA, you got to win one game. It's not about having the pitching and the starting pitching to win over the course. I believe their offense can get them through this tournament.
Definitely.
I believe they can match up with the Dominican Republic. And then you get into the bullpen. Devin Williams, Ryan Presley at the back end. They have the bullpen you need. Bullpen is arguably more important in this tournament than starting pitching is, because you can't go but so deep as a starting pitcher. I have my winner of the WBC being Team USA, the United States of America. Let's go. Back-to-back champs.
Yeah. You know, that's what I believe. Whew. USA. USA.
This is going to be
fun.
A blast, Alex. And as we mentioned, every single day, right here, we'll be here or we'll be in Miami eventually. Big things coming.
It's exciting,
But
guys.
for now, every single day, right here, when Team USA plays live pregame, live postgame, the first game is not until Saturday against England. Well, Great Britain.
Yeah.
By the way, fun fact, soccer, right? England's sport, can't beat us. They tied. Baseball, USA's, they might have something coming to them on Saturday. They might have something coming to them on Saturday.
Do we think USA's going to have the mercy rule happen in one of their games? If it's going to happen, it's either going to be Japan or USA.
Yeah. All right, bat giveaway. Before we wrap up here, Robert Russell won the last bat.
Congrats.
Bat number 5. And we have one final bat giveaway.
Okay.
So all you need to do, if you're listening, all you need to do is take a screenshot that you're subscribed to Flippin Bats podcast. So go on Apple Podcasts, hit the plus button in the top right. That means you're subscribed to it. And just take a screenshot that you are subscribed and send that screenshot to the email address baseballisbackbaby@gmail.com. Again, I would like to preface that I do not come up with these email addresses. Baseballisbackbaby@gmail.com. Send your screenshot to that email address and you could win the last final one of 6 custom Flippin Bats bat. It is truly sick. Wood bat, 34 inches, custom design on it. It's beautiful. All you have to do is that, and the bat could be yours.
Can I have you say it with a little more feeling? Like, I know how you want to say it.
Baseball is back, baby.
Baby!
Baby.
Yes.
I'm so excited. The next game, 7 p.m. Pacific,
Woo!
10 o'clock Eastern.
We're not sleeping
Australia
tonight.
Versus Korea. 4 games coming at you until Alex and I see you again tomorrow.
Right here.
For episode number 2 of this WBC journey. Flippin' Bats now is going to be a blast for the next few weeks. Thank you all for listening to episode 1. Had to give a little synopsis of the WBC. We won't be doing that every episode, so this one looks a little bit different than the rest will. The rest will be predictions, previews, recaps, all of that stuff. It's going to be a blast. Thank you all for listening. Keep coming back. This is going to be a fun next couple of weeks. Make sure you're subscribed to Flippin' Bats wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. We're also on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you can watch every single episode as well on YouTube at Flippin' Bats Pod for all of them. Thanks for listening. Let's do this. We're off and running, and we will see you tomorrow for another episode. Peace.